Hi, and thanks for joining me for this uTalk webinar. Hopefully you can all hear me. If not, please ask the presenter to turn up the volume and we'll begin. My name's Simon and I'm the product manager for uTalk. You might not have heard of us before, so allow me to give you an introduction. uTalk is the language learning company. We're based in London and our goal is language learning for everyone. In this talk, I'm going to give you an overview of who we are, what we do, the problems that we have with languages, a demo of uTalk, and a case study. So who are we? Well, we're the language learning specialists, and we believe that speaking just a few words is all you need to make friends. And that's a quote from our chairman, Dick. 25 years ago, Dick and co-founder Andrew set up a company called uTalk. They saw that technology was going to bring language learning to the hands of the masses, and in particular how multimedia can help people learn languages. We were the first company to have an interactive language learning CD-ROM, and since then we've sold over 30 million of them, including USBs, interactive DVDs, well-known products like Asterix and Adobe Flash Multimedia. From using our own products, from the sales numbers, and from customer reviews, we know our methods work, but nobody uses CDs, flash player, reel-to-reel tape. Well, no one uses them anymore. So 5 years ago, we started seeing what was happening in the app world and took the technology back to the drawing board and re-examined what people wanted. After a couple of years in the making, we've developed uTalk. What is uTalk? Well, in its simplest terms, uTalk is a cross-platform language learning app. And that means that it's a piece of software to help you learn languages that works on pretty much any electronic device. But it's so much more than that, and you'll come to understand why as I carry on. We've designed uTalk to be simple, fun, and effective. And that's both as the app and the way of learning. We think if learning isn't those three things, then it's failed. What we try and focus on is giving people real words for real life. We don't focus on grammar because that's not something that helps people learn a language and speak it. Let's ask you a question. In your native language, were you ever taught grammatical structure and verb conjugations when you were young? Or were you able to just learn a language without it? We make a very bold claim. We're not going to get you fluent, but we will help you have fun learning. Fluency, we think, requires you to live in the language. It's not what most people want or need to do. It's a very daunting goal and it puts people off. And we think that you don't need to be fluent to make friends and get basic vocabulary to help you get by. So what we will do is help you and your end users learn more than 130 languages from any of those 130 languages. And we're unique in being the only company that's able to offer this many combination of languages. Our goal is 150 and we're adding more all the time. And these are added into uTalk for free. So you can learn all of them and not in a classroom environment. So what do I mean by not in a classroom environment? Well, we believe that learning happens the best when the user is able to go at their own pace. So we let you use uTalk anytime and in any place. It works, like I said, on pretty much any device, including in a web browser. This means people can use it on their own phones, in computers, on tablets, and in web browsers. All the data is kept in sync using our servers, and the app works offline, even if you don't have an internet connection. Each of those 130 languages is absolutely packed full of content, so you're never going to be lost for words. We've built each language with over 3,000 phrases, 60 topics, and 3 difficulty levels, which go up to the European framework level B2. Now, these are everyday words and phrases covering everything from first words, getting by in a restaurant, getting around town, driving and getting directions, and onto more specialist vocabulary like technology, parts of the body, describing animals, and telling people where you'd like to travel. And we do all this using native speakers. These are real native speakers of the language. We record male and female voices for every language and check the translations twice. Now, we do the translations how people would speak it, so this is not always the most dictionary accurate way of doing it, but it always sounds correct to a native speaker. So uTalk is great, and who have we used it for already? Well, I'd like to talk about some of uTalk's previous customers. Firstly, in libraries. German libraries, as well as libraries in Ireland and Australia, are already using uTalk to give access to language learning on customers' own devices and library computers. Now, what we've done is built a clever system to integrate directly with library interfaces. This means that a borrower can log into uTalk using just their library card number and PIN. Where this is not possible, we can send out a series of cards which have codes a borrower enters into the application and gets access to all the content the library is paid for. We use a similar system in Dublin and also in Australia. At work, we've partnered with a leading UK supermarket to train warehouse staff in English as a second language. These staff have no access to company computers and use it on their own phones and tablets at home. They learn vocabulary not just to keep them safe and make them more productive, but to help them make friends using their English. We've also partnered with Costa Coffee on the high street in the UK. We've set up language learning classes, teaching people a language in a relaxed setting with the assistance of a teacher. We've also partnered with Emirates Airlines to give customers on their planes the essentials in the local language so they're ready to hit the ground running on arrival. These are simple words and phrases, and for people that haven't heard of uTalk, they get a taste on the plane and can download for free as soon as they land. And finally, everywhere. Will Hatton, also known as the Broke Backpacker, is taking uTalk on his travels and using it to make friends across the world on his massive journey from the UK to Papua New Guinea. And what everyone keeps on saying about uTalk in all of our stories is that it makes language learning simple, and most importantly, it makes it fun. uTalk makes people enjoy the experience, and the learning happens naturally because of that. What I'd like to do now is show you a pre-recorded demo of some of the features in uTalk. Of course, I can't show you everything here, but you're welcome to download the app for free and try and follow along, or we can try it after this presentation. So I'm going to launch straight into uTalk. Now, even though this particular demo is shown on an iPad, just remember it works on everything. I've already logged in, but the login process is really straightforward. Enter your library card number and PIN, and you'll be in. And the first thing you can see is our huge language selection, from Italian to Dutch, Spanish to Swedish, English to Zulu. We've pretty much got everything. Diving straight into a language is as easy as tapping it or using the search box to find the one you're after. I'm going to select French for the purposes of this demo. And I can understand a little bit of French already, which always helps. So tapping on a language, this is what you see. Remember that each language has over 90 topics, and that's those small circles that you're seeing down here. It's a really diverse range of content with almost 300 hours of learning per language. And because of that, we realized that that's quite a lot of content to get through. So we've had to come up with a method that really breaks that down and makes it simple to get through. So our philosophy is that you should be able to dip in and out of whatever topic takes your fancy. We know that learning happens best when you're learning something that you enjoy, but we do recognize that having this much choice could be a bit overwhelming. So what we've done is we've taken all of those 90 topics and put them into 6 manageable categories, which you can see here. And those categories, in case you can't see them, are getting started, out and about, making friends, health and leisure, at home, and business. So let's have a look at one of them, getting started. What we've done is laid out all of that content into a sensible order, linked to the theme of the category that you've chosen. What we've done is we've made this topic go through 3 difficulty levels, from easy to harder to hardest, with a quiz at the end of every level. Each one of these topics is about 3 to 4 hours of learning, and it gets quite difficult towards the end. But it's definitely a manageable thing to do. The quiz tests on all the content in each level, and everything can be reported on to either our web-based dashboard or Blackboard. So what's inside one of these topics? Well, in levels 1 and 2, students learn vocabulary and phrases by associating them with picture cards. This is a very natural way to learn, just like you did when you were a child. You see something and learn the word for it. So I'll show you how one of these games work and go into one of the hard games. A student here has to remember the phrase that corresponds to the card, which engages both sides of their brain. The easier games purely test the student's ability to match the spoken phrase to the picture, and we want to make it a fun and rewarding way to play a game. So here's how the
Je
hard
voudrais
game
un
works.
café, s'il vous plaît.
Phrase gets read out.
Je voudrais un café, s'il vous plaît.
You
Oui,
tap on the correct phrase.
au
You get marked
revoir.
correct.
Au revoir.
Oui. Un.
Un.
Oui. Non.
Non.
Oui.
And now we're going to play the rest of the game in fast forward.
S'il vous plaît.
Oui. Bravo.
Now, at the end of the game, we want to make it really fun and rewarding. So not only do you get a nice little effect when you score high marks, but we know that actually unexpected rewards and achievements enhance your learning. So we pop them up during the gameplay as well. Now, if you didn't know what the vocabulary was, what you do is you go back to phrase practice, which is our little dictionary. We've recorded, like I said, male and female native speakers for every language, so you'll know you're getting the right pronunciation.
Bonjour.
Non, merci.
Je voudrais un café, s'il vous plaît.
Je voudrais un café, s'il vous plaît.
Je voudrais un café, s'il vous plaît.
If you don't quite catch it, you can even slow down the recording to perfect your accent. You see a translation for each phrase in your native language, and where required, you see transliterations, for example, in Russian. Now, we know that one of the most important areas of language learning is being able to actually speak the language. But we also know that people hate practicing and pronouncing out loud, even though speaking is key to the language learning process. So we've designed a game where the only way to score points is to record your own voice and use it in the game that follows. Now, this is all sped up on the screen here. This really helps you not only to remember, but get your pronunciation right when you need it. We don't use speech recognition to mark because it either marks you too harshly, too kindly, or flat out wrong when you say something that's slightly off script, even if it means the same thing. So we let the user mark themselves when the speaking game comes into play. We've also built some really testing games to challenge your memory and recall. We give students a few seconds to remember the cards and their positions, and then they're asked to remember where they are. The key to this is it only works if you're thinking in the language. If you try and translate it on the fly, then you won't be able to complete the game. We then add even more pressure by putting you against the clock halfway through the game. It's very challenging, but really engaging.
Le
And the sense of fulfillment
paracétamol.
when you get full marks at
Oui.
the end of the game is a real achievement. Not this time, though.
Bravo.
So I've not got time to go into everything else that uTalk has to offer, including video content with real speakers, multiple identity provider integration, and reporting through Blackboard. But what I would like to do is show you some real stories from real people at the University of Newcastle in the UK. So at Newcastle University in the UK, we integrated uTalk campus-wide to give access to all students, all languages. And what I'd like to do is let some of the students speak for themselves about how they find using uTalk.
So my name is Leona. I'm originally from Serbia, and I'm doing my postgraduate studies in PR and media at Newcastle University. I think learning languages is already hard, and it takes time, it takes effort, and it does take money if you're taking private classes as well. So I think university helped us a lot by giving us a free resource to study. And of course we have the learning center and everything else, but that requires you sitting here and spending time here, because you cannot just check out the book and leave. So giving a free access to something that everybody has, and that's a smartphone, you can use it to access a language app anywhere you are. It lets me learn some words that I wouldn't learn on my own. I wouldn't think about learning a specific word, but then it's like, oh, that would be useful. So I like it. I enjoy practicing and just refreshing my memory with it. Interesting activities, that's really when I have time to fit it in. Unfortunately, I wish I had more time to commit to it, but it's just one of those things. It gives me 5 minutes in between classes. I can just sit and okay, I'm gonna commit 5 minutes to Spanish every day or every other day.
Let's shoot ourselves in a team. Yeah. Okay, so I'm David. I'm studying German and Japanese with Dutch at Newcastle University. uTalk's actually really helped me with sort of support my learning. With the words I already know through my course, it reinforces them in a way I haven't seen before. Instead of just lists, there's interactive games with them, the pictures to go with them. You get to hear them spoken out rather than in your head with your own accent, hearing how you think it's said. You hear in 2 or 3 different voices for each word, exactly how they're said and how they'd be said, and it also has, even in the basic words section, I found there were words that I didn't know yet, and this is after a year and a half of Japanese. I've done it, lying in bed at night, having a little go. I did it here the other day, just sort of sitting, people hear just random words like konnichiwa, and they're like, what's that? What? Yeah, I've even done it in the bath once.
So 2 real students there who love using uTalk, and I hope you can see how much it helps them learn. Now I'd love to show you more what uTalk has to offer. So please go to uTalk.com, download the app and get in touch, and we can set you up with a free demo. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and thank you very much for listening.